You can find all previous videos for this story at the links in the description. Enjoy watching. After meeting Jane and scheduling a date with her, I found myself grappling with confusion over my emotions. When I revisited my own testimony, detailing what she had done to me, it felt as if a different person had written it. I struggled to muster anger when watching the video of her with bird brain. Instead, I felt a profound emptiness. Seeking advice, I reached out to some of you through DMs and learned about the concept of the reconciliation fog. This fog, fueled by my depression and low self-esteem, led me to downplay her actions, forgive the cheater, and make excuses for her. With 2 weeks before my date with Jane, I decided to consult my attorney. Despite his caution that meeting without both attorneys present was risky, I insisted it was crucial for me. It served as my litmus test to gauge my feelings. He warned about potential recordings that could be used against me as evidence of reconciliation. Acknowledging the uncertainty of my decision, I assured him I needed to see how things unfolded. He advised me to avoid any reconciliation discussions and signs of affection if I still intended to pursue a divorce. In the first week, I had appointments with my therapist and psychiatrist. My therapist suggested adopting a pet as a means to alleviate my depression, and I embraced the idea. Visiting a shelter, I adopted a joyful and intelligent dog named Samantha. The process of preparing for her arrival, from buying toys and a leash to a personalized collar, brought me a sense of purpose. Samantha's presence uplifted my spirits, and she became a source of joy for my godchildren as well. Meanwhile, my psychiatrist adjusted my antidepressant dosage and prescribed a medication to ease compulsive thoughts. Receiving similar advice from my parents, psychiatrist, and therapist, encouraging me to do what would make me happy, I found myself at a crossroads, unsure of what would ultimately bring me happiness. I needed a reality check, and surprisingly, it came from the last person I would have expected. Having missed my last 3 kickboxing classes since Karen's Halloween party, my coach, Abraham, around 40 years old, confronted me at the showers, clearly displeased. Sensing my distress, he asked, "Is everything all right?" I admitted that it wasn't and began sharing my struggles with depression. In response, he revealed that his own son was going through a similar ordeal and suggested meeting up for some beers. After the class, we headed to a bar near the gym, and I poured out the details of my situation with Jane and Birdbrain. Abraham, thoroughly disgusted, echoed the sentiments I had received from others. As I delved into my emotions, he cut me off, insisting, "Speak up your mind." Unsure of what to say, I hesitated, and he reiterated, "What is on your mind? I don't care about feelings. Tell me what you want." Despite opening my mouth, I failed to provide an answer. Expressing his frustration, he emphasized, "You really need to man up," and instructed me to arrive early the next day, assuring me that I would be born again. He covered the drinks and left me with those words. The following day, I arrived an hour ahead of schedule, finding Abraham ready for me. He handed me sparring gear and directed me to the ring. While I had never sparred before, having only practiced with a sandbag, Abraham told me to punch him. My attempts elicited a nearly amused response from him, and he questioned, "Is this all you've got?" Feeling self-conscious, especially as the oldest participant, I tried again, but Abraham effortlessly blocked and pushed me back. Falling on my butt, he remarked, "Your determination is weak," helping me to stand and repeating, "Man up." Someone chuckled, fueling my frustration. Despite putting in more effort, I couldn't land a single hit on Abraham, who was clearly taking it easy on me. Exhausted, he instructed me to return the next day, emphasizing, "You're not giving your all. Show yourself what you can do." His words lingered in my mind, and during the next session, Abraham had someone record the sparring using my phone. Once again, I failed to connect a hit. Watching the video, I cringed at my clumsy, slow, and weak movements. Abraham insisted that I must do whatever it takes to land a punch on him. Acknowledging my lack of effort, I began watching online tutorials and added an extra hour to my training. At night, I studied the sparring video, cleared space for shadow sparring, and became so absorbed in showcasing my determination to Abraham that I momentarily forgot about my problems and the upcoming date with Jane. By the 5th session, I could anticipate some of Abraham's moves, yet my reactions were still sluggish. I noticed a growing audience, later learning there was a bet in progress. On the 7th day, the unexpected occurred. I saw his fist heading towards my chest, and in that split second, my body responded with precision and speed. I landed a punch on his ribs. While elated at first, my joy was short-lived as I saw something black And the next thing I knew, my face met the floor with Abraham shouting, "Give him some room." As I turned my body up, everyone was in the ring and Abraham knelt beside me, advising me not to move. Someone arrived with a first aid kit. With a bleeding nose and dizziness, I questioned what happened. The excitement-filled voices around me drowned in simultaneous chatter. Abraham apologized, saying, "You did it, man. Sorry, it was a reflex." The kid who usually recorded our sessions showed me the moment I landed the punch. Abraham's reflexive reaction resulted in him punching me back in the face, causing me to black out for about 5 seconds. It took a week to connect a single punch, and I joined the others in shouting, "Hell yeah!" Euphoric, I was assisted to my feet, feeling congratulatory pats on my back. Smiling, Abraham asked, "I'll repeat my question. What do you want?" I yelled, "I want to be stronger. I want to be the best version of myself." When asked about my wife, I made an angry face, stating, "She betrayed me. She doesn't deserve me." With a smile, Abraham raised my hand as if I had won the match. While it was just one punch, Abraham understood that this victory meant more to me than any therapy, medication, or advice, as it brought an end to my confusion, sadness, and doubts. I had reached the last stage of acceptance. In the following days, I invested more effort into my training and made a series of decisions the old me would have contemplated or sought Jane's opinion on. I decided to change my appearance, my car, and pursue activities I had avoided due to fear, such as learning to dance and play a musical instrument. Additionally, I committed to getting my first tattoo. The day before our date, Jane texted me. I shared the time and place, and she added, "Don't be late." Feeling confident, we met at her favorite restaurant for lunch. She looked stunning as always, while I opted for a simple look with a jacket, t-shirt, jeans, and hikers. Jane seemed self-assured, and I couldn't help but smirk as I began recording with my phone. We were amicable, keeping our emotions in check. Unlike our previous meetings, there was no anger or rage on my part. It felt like a conversation with an old friend, purely platonic, at least from my perspective. When she asked about my sadness, I surprised her by stating that I felt much better now. Explaining the trigger for my insecurities, I shared the drama involving Princess, and she expressed anger, mirroring my cousin Karen's sentiments. Jane mentioned she would never be ready to see me with another partner. In response, I casually remarked, "I'm ending a messy relationship with my crazy wife," referring to her as a third person in the past. She caught on to what I meant, and we shared a laugh, reminiscing about our past conversations. We discussed various topics, including a coworker who asked her out. We laughed about it, knowing his tendencies. I inquired about Flirty, and Jane shared her theory that Flirty dislikes my ethnicity and resents my superior education and salary. Jane discovered that Flirty is dating 2 guys seriously, whatever that meant to her. The conversation shifted to Birdbrain, who had called Jane from another number, attempting to convince her to run away with him. Jane assured me she didn't engage in the conversation, simply listening before cutting the call. He had relocated to another state. I expressed my disdain for him, and Jane agreed, acknowledging him as a lying loser douchebag. She was curious about the encounter between him and me, as mentioned in my post. I recounted the incident, noting that his apologetic demeanor boosted my confidence, making it easy for me to threaten him. She urged me to reenact the scene, and I obliged, describing my words and delivery. Jane was wide-eyed and admitted to having goosebumps. She hadn't seen me so aggressive before, reiterating that she liked me more. As the conversation took a flirty turn, she playfully suggested stuffing the muffin, our euphemism for intimacy. This was the moment I had been anticipating. Jane leaned in for a kiss, but before I could think, the familiar feelings of anger and resentment resurfaced. My body reacted instinctively, pulling my face away. With a deep voice, I firmly said, "No." She apologized profusely, and I smiled, suggesting that we should leave since it was late, and I needed to walk Sammy. I settled the bill for the meal. She didn't bring her car and asked me to take her to my home, seemingly confident that we would spend the night together. I hesitated, but I decided to place myself in the situation just to assert my decision to say no once again. When we arrived in front of my apartment, we could hear Samantha whining and scratching the door. Before I entered, Jane became serious and asked, "OP, will you ever forgive your wife?" I already did. Then why won't you take her back? Because I will never forget what she did, and I can't trust her. She wore a sad expression, but then inquired, "What about me? Would you take me instead?" I smiled and said, "What are you talking about? We're friends." She looked offended. "Are you friend zoning me?" "I guess so. Dude." I playfully punched her shoulder. I thought she might appear even more offended, but instead her eyes sparkled and she had a big smile. "You finally touched me." That took me by surprise. Since D-Day, I hadn't voluntarily touched her. She took a step towards me. "Can I hug you? Please?" "Sure." She practically jumped into my arms. It felt familiar. Her voluptuous body fitting perfectly between my arms and chest, her perfume and her long wavy hair tickling my nose. I hugged her back and she pleaded, "Let's get back together." I told her, "No, Jane, we are going to divorce." She broke the hug and stared at my face. I suppose she thought I was joking, but I wasn't. She didn't take it well. Convinced we would reconcile, she made a scene in front of my apartment. I tried to calm her down, but she protested and yelled. She hugged me tightly, as if I was about to disappear. She begged and told me she had changed, she would make me happy, and she would do anything for me. And then the tears started. I felt sadness for her. I didn't hate Jane. She had been my best and only friend for so long, and we both had amazing memories together. However, she made a significant mistake, and as a consequence, I fell out of love. I noticed a nosy neighbor peeking from his apartment, so I guided Jane inside my house. Sammy was curious about her. Lacking tea, I warmed some soy milk while Jane sobbed and petted Sammy. I sat in front of her, and the milk helped her calm down. She asked me, "Do you still love me? Just as the good friend you have been to me all these years. Not as a partner, not anymore." She yelled, "Why not?" "I changed, Jane. I feel different now. I've finished mourning our marriage." She got angry and accused me of being cruel. I asserted that I was being realistic. What I said in MC was my honest truth. I could no longer trust her. I will never forget her face on D-Day. She shattered my trust and destroyed my love for her. She hit the table, called herself stupid, cursed bird brain, and admitted she didn't know what she had until she lost it, taking me for granted. Then she made some proposals like granting her a period of reconciliation, opening our marriage on my side, or becoming friends with benefits. I conveyed to her that she was being unreasonable. When she asked what I wanted from her, I expressed my desire for her happiness with whomever she chooses. I assured her that I would move on and find happiness on my own. Curious about the presence of another woman in my life, I admitted there wasn't one yet, but someday there might be. She covered her face with her hands, and Sammy, sitting next to her, placed her paw on Jane's leg. Sensing it was time for Sammy's walk, around 10 p.m., Jane joined me. We walked in silence side by side. Once at the dog park, I had unleashed Sammy and she ran, sniffed, and rolled over the dry grass, thoroughly enjoying herself. Jane sat next to me and finally spoke, saying, "I'll never find love again." Trying to be optimistic, I replied, "Yes, you will. There are plenty of fish in the pond." She shared that at her new job, 2 coworkers had asked her out, both of whom were married. I questioned if she had reported them, but she explained it wasn't possible as their invitations were framed as friendly outings, innocuous from an HR perspective. When I asked about their intentions, she revealed that both were consistently staring at her breasts. To deter unwanted attention, she placed a picture of us on display, which I found amusing, but she didn't share the sentiment. Jane expressed her fear of being alone, attracting the wrong kind of attention. Unable to have children and having lost the love of her life, she doubted her prospects. She inquired if I would marry again, to which I responded that I didn't think so, expressing skepticism about remarriage. I didn't disclose my desire to have children. I sent the audio to my lawyer, and after reviewing it, he confirmed that there was nothing indicating reconciliation. He mentioned that it was a smart move to refer to Jane as a third person, making it sound like I wasn't addressing her directly. On my birthday, many extended family members texted and called to check on me. I visited my parents' house, where my brother and his wife were already present. Surprisingly, Jane arrived with all my in-laws. We all played, ate, and enjoyed a delicious cake prepared by my mom, who is an excellent cook. Fortunately, there was no drama. Even my mother-in-law, who sometimes experiences confusion, had a good day. She found joy in watching the twins play, even if she occasionally forgot they were her grandchildren. It truly turned out to be a great day. As we cut the cake, I realized I had everything I wanted. My godchildren still in my life, forgiveness for Jane, and my depression nearly overcome. Several noteworthy events have transpired since then. In mid-December, I went on a date with a single mother who attempted to persuade me to adopt her challenging child. It was quite an amusing experience. If there's a platform where I can share stories of disastrous dates, I'll be sure to let you know. One of my tenants propositioned me to be her sugar daddy. Additionally, I decided to get my first tattoo on my shoulder, an Aztec eagle warrior. This symbolizes my pride in my heritage and ethnicity. If anyone takes issue with my appearance, I simply shrug it off and continue being true to myself. As a decent, hard-working individual, I embrace the Aztec eagle warrior imagery, which traditionally featured a helmet crafted from the head of a royal eagle. In my country, royal eagles symbolize freedom, honesty, and strength. By the end of December, Jane resigned from her job due to harassment from a coworker who held a prominent position in the company. Facing gaslighting from HR, she deemed it wisest to leave. I spent Christmas with the twins and her family. While she is slowly accepting that our relationship is over, she remains annoyingly friendly towards me. In January, I created a Tinder profile with the help of one of the kickboxing guys. Despite receiving few likes, I connected with a junior high teacher who is witty and humorous. Although I anticipate that the relationship won't last as she doesn't want children and has different interests, such as gaming, which I consider a waste of time, she insists I quit kickboxing, deeming it too violent. As you are aware, my divorce was finalized on February 17th. Jane texted me with the sentiment, "I know this is not the end for us." Later, my sister-in-law informed me that Jane had entered a stage of depression. She implored me to speak with her, citing that Jane listens to me. Despite her drastic weight loss and reluctance to attend therapy until I intervene, I've stressed that she needs to let me go, explaining that frequent contact is exacerbating her depression. I now feel I'm on the right path. I am dedicating myself to studying for a promotion that will enable me to travel. I continue to excel at the gym, although I haven't sparred with Abraham again. Nonetheless, fellow gym goers often seek my assistance. I have achieved my goal of maintaining an amicable relationship with my ex without losing the connection with my in-laws, whom I still consider family. My godchildren and I share a deep bond, and I cherish them as if they were my own children. I couldn't bear the thought of losing them, and they played a significant role in guiding me through the challenging stages of mourning and helping me move on from Jane. In my country, godparents assume responsibility for the kids if anything happens to the parents, serving as the second set of parents. To all those mourning a marriage, I urge you not to let bitterness consume you. There is light at the end of the dark tunnel. It takes time and dedication, but eventually you will overcome the challenges. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but someday you'll emerge from this stronger. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.